Voltron Season 3, Episode 6, Trailing a Comet. This is the penultimate episode of the season before the unfortunate break that is going to lead into, I think it's like October 15th or something like that is when the next season kicks in. I don't know how many episodes it's going to be just yet. I'll have to look that up and talk about that in my review for the finale. But this was definitely a cool episode leading into the finale. I really loved it with the idea of what they were going to do with the team, because it's like, you know, Shiro's finally back. How is that going to play out? Who's going to lead the team? Who's going to lead Voltron? And ultimately, Shiro came in and it was like, alright, the lion did not choose me, so it wants you to be the leader. So it was kind of like Shiro was willing to take up the mantle of leader again, but the lion wouldn't let him. It was like, no, Keith is, doing his thing, and that was all there was to it. They talk about it even with Lance, where he's like, I don't want to, I don't want to push Allura out, so maybe I'll leave the team. Like, you'll want your Red Lion back, but Allura's become so adept at it. She kind of deserves to be, a part of Voltron, and it was a cool moment for Lance's character. But they did some really good stuff with the team dynamic and everything, and of course, it led to some natural headbutting moments. It wasn't like too dramatic where they were like actually arguing, but there were some, back and forth moments, and it comes from a pretty nuts episode where I still have a bunch of questions, because I'm like, I still don't understand why Lotor was attacking this base. Like, he ends up attacking this base, and they go in, and they're trying to get the Teledove, and it's just like, okay, the Teledove is like this big teleportation device, so what does he need to teleport? Why can't he just say, hey, I am currently, I'm the prince of everything, my, dad's knocked out, I'm obviously taking over for now, give me the Teledove, I want to do this thing. So clearly there's some crazy secret that he's hiding, and there's something he wanted to use the Teledove for, and it ends up not being to do anything with the Comet, because it turns out the Comet has already been transformed into like this crazy ship. And it was actually very interesting, because this ship was like a bendy, it was almost like it was made out of clay, like it was bending and everything. And I was like, that's really odd, but that's actually very cool, and it moved in a fairly unique fashion. So the Comet has officially already, been turned into this ship. And so the team goes in and is like, alright, well, they're doing some crazy thing for whatever reason. Lotor is attacking space with his generals. We'll go in, we'll get the Comet, everything will be good. They find out the Comet's turned into the ship. They find out Lotor is actually stealing the Teledove. And everything's just crazy. And that's when things start to fall apart just a little bit. They start to fall apart because you have Keith and Shiro's different ideas. Keith is like, well, I'm going to go look for Lotor. So he's basically still doing this thing where it's like, take out the enemy and then deal with that later. So he's like, I'll take out Lotor. You guys go after them and, try to deal with the Teledove, and we'll kind of just figure this all out. And then Shiro's like, you guys need to stick together and stop them from getting that Teledove. Like, whatever he's stealing from his own people for, it's something insanely crucial, so we need to stop him from getting the Teledove and just focus on the ship. It doesn't matter where Lotor himself is, but that ship carrying the Teledove is what matters the most. So that's when he decides, and everyone's like, I kind of agree, we should all stick together. So Keith is just like, fine, that's what we'll do, we'll stop them with the Teledove. And so they're doing that. They end up getting, forming Voltron, and in the midst of all this, where we have this big battle before they, really get to Voltron, and it's the, Voltron, the Voltron versus the Comet ship or whatever, we have them face off against the generals, which was actually a really cool sequence, because we get them using all the different weapons and stuff. Allura's thing is a whip, which is super freaking sweet, and she's fighting in there. We get to see Shiro. I don't know if that was a weapon or if that was the paladin, the weapon thing, because I'm like, he shouldn't have it, because I would assume, Zarkon still had his. So I'm guessing that was just a weapon, but it was like a black blade. But it also like went from one arm to the other, and I'm like, I didn't know that their weapons could do that, so maybe they can, maybe they can't. I'm admittedly still a little confused. Maybe I'll rewatch it again to see if that's actually the paladin weapon, because I felt like that should have been an important sequence, like, hey, Shiro somehow has the thing, and now he's passing it on to Keith, but I don't think that that's actually what that was. I think it was just a weapon that kind of mimicked, basically what the other paladin weapons were doing. But it was hard to say, because I'm like, well, it looked like, the paladin thing, but Shiro never had his because Zarkon like stole it. So it was a little confusing to me unless I just forgot a sequence that happened. But I'm like, I'm pretty sure he doesn't have it because this is the first time we've seen him use it too. And it wasn't like it happened in an earlier episode. This is like the first time we've seen him use his blade and it, was all black. So I'm like, did they just make a black one? Or that has to be what happened because he didn't get the thing from Shiro. And Shiro, of course, never got it from Zarkon. So it was just like, huh, he has a black blade. It was like, it just was interesting because it was like, clearly it's meant to be black because it, the weapons match the lions. But I'm like, they didn't actually have the weapon though. So it really confused me where that actually came from. So I'm just going to assume that it was a mistake on my part and not the creator's part just because. But it was really weird because I'm like, I don't remember them doing a sequence where he ever got that weapon. And I don't remember them ever giving it to Shiro either. So I don't really know where it came from. But it was a super cool fight sequence. I love that scene too when he gets pinned down. And she had like some wrestling moves. It was like some taekwondo stuff. And she's like break his arm. And he's just like, okay. And the blade just shoots across his body up to the other arm. And I was like, well, that's actually super cool. So everybody's fighting, and then ultimately they get down to defense mode. They're able to escape because ultimately the main general out of all the generals, I can't think of her name, but the woman who basically looks the most human of the characters, she's like, all right, time to go because we got the mission. In this episode, we also find out that she is the person that Keith ended up saving. Now with that happening, I know she's a villain. And as soon as she came on board, I was like, okay, there's a reason that they made her look the most human. That's just, there's some, like, I knew there was some reason for that. She just looks like a woman that's blue and has blue hair. She doesn't look like the woman who kind of looks almost like a big wolf. She doesn't look orange, like the woman who can camouflage herself. And she doesn't have, like, a weird... I think that is actually the woman's face. I always thought it was a mask. I think that's actually her face, like the smooth surface. So she doesn't look like that. She looks like an actual person, a human being, but blue. And I'm like, I know there's a reason for that because it's like she's the most identifiable as far as like a human character. So I knew there was something to that. And in this episode, they revealed that that is the person that Keith ended up saving. I don't know how he recognized that because I'm like, I guess it was her shooting. I think that's what it was that triggered it. It was like the way that she could shoot, and he knew that that was her. But I'm like, at first, the first thing I thought was, did he recognize that from her outfit? Because they literally all have the same outfit. Like, all the Gora have the same, cool armor design. I'm like, I don't know how he got that. But I think it was the fact that she's like, a sharpshooter sort of thing. So I thought that was pretty cool. And they didn't touch on it too much because they were literally in the middle of battle. But she ends up being the one, once again, it's the most important of the new ladies. She ends up being the one piloting the Comet ship against Voltron. That was a super cool moment because, like I said, the ship is like twisting and bending and doing these crazy things, and she's taking them on. Like, she's leading them around, and she's getting off some pot shots. They're trying to hit her, but they can't really do it. They get a couple hits on her, and then it's like, okay, it comes down to this final moment where it's like we either stop Lotor and his team from removing the Teledove and doing whatever crazy thing he has planned, which he's stealing from his own people to do, or Keith's plan is to, basically destroy the ship and either, collect the pieces or just completely wipe out, this Comet ship. So Keith wants to take out the ship, and then Shiro's like, we need to stop them with the Teledove. We gotta, excuse me, we gotta keep them from going wherever they're going. And I love the way it played out because they have, they're stuck in between. They have, two options. It's like, we go for this, or we turn around and we go for that. So Lotor knows that Keith is basically going with Shiro's plan. He's like, they're going to go for the Teledove. When they do, when they turn around, I want you to take them out. And so Keith has Hunk, bring up the cannon, which is cool to see because we haven't seen it since last season. So he brings up the cannon, spins it around, and as soon as the ship shoots, he just drops it and he just ducks out of the way, and they end up destroying the Teledove themselves. And I was like, that was genius. They destroyed the Teledove. Unfortunately, they don't get the Comet. They do ultimately end up choosing one over the other. But they destroyed the Teledove, and of course they don't get knocked out either. So ultimately, they succeed. And I found it interesting when things kind of failed, and Lotor was like, he was upset. Like, this is the first time we've really seen him like upset with what happened, and it's one of his generals failing him. And he was like, he basically said it was like all your fault. And I was kind of thinking like, no, Keith pulled off a super, smart move. It was like, obviously Lotor didn't see that coming because he wouldn't have said shoot him in the back. So it was like, no, she didn't fail. She did exactly what, was the actual plan. He just ducked. He thought, he was literally one step ahead. It's like, all right, I know she's going to shoot me in the back. Boom. Got out of the way. They destroyed the teledove. And we're out of here. Because we can't really get the ship right now. It's like way too good. So, definitely a cool moment. And I was like, this might be the episode that kind of plants the seeds of rebellion within Lotor's own group. At least specifically for this one character. Solely based on the fact that Keith saved her life when he was in the crazy alien thing. And Lotor seems to be upset, and we might see some stuff from that in the finale as well. I don't think she'll like betray him in the very next episode or anything like that, but I wouldn't be surprised. Like I said, I knew there was something to her. I'm like, they made her look the most human for a reason. That's always a design choice, and so now it's starting to kind of build up where it's like, okay, she's the person that Keith ended up saving, and they worked together. And also, she's the one who's most trusted. Of course, it was clear that she was kind of at the top because she was always the one stopping the bigger lady, like, all right, time to go, we got our mission to do. She was always the one doing that. And so, it's made obvious. And then, of course, her piloting the Comet ship shows how important she is to Lotor as, like, the second in command for him. So, clearly, she's important, and I'm very excited to see what they do with her character. And not only the finale, I would assume that she's not going to die, but not only the finale, but also the next season and the rest of the series. Because I feel like this was, like, that small... it seems insignificant, but it's like that small beginning to like that tiny little, that flip of the coin where she's like, I was working for Lotor for this amount of time, and who knows why she's working with him. It could easily be one of those things where it's like, well, I either work with him or he like kills my family, or he did kill my family, or his dad killed my family. So it was just like, I kind of grew up in this crazy sort of situation where it's like, I hate it, but it also became just my life. And then in the background, I still hate it, but ultimately it's just like, it is what it is. It's almost like, best example I can think of is like Gamora and Nebula from Guardians of the Galaxy, where it's like, their families are like wiped out by Thanos, and then he basically takes them, and it's like, I hate this dude, but he'll crush me because I'm a little kid. And you eventually get raised into that situation where you still hate this person, but there's really nothing to help you break away from that. So I think that might be what we're seeing in this first episode with her character. I just wish I could freaking remember her name. I saw it earlier too because one of my friends watches, and she posted about it, and I was like, oh, that's her name, because I feel like they never said her name. I'm sure they've said it, but I was like, wow. I like read it, and it was something like Vexa or something like that. It's something where it's got an X and a V and a C in there and an A and I think an E, something like that. Some of those letters are somewhere in there. Probably not any of them. But yeah, awesome character. Excited to see what they do with that. But ultimately, I'm really looking forward to getting into the finale, and then sadly waiting for the next set of episodes. But really enjoyed this one. Can't wait to see what they do with the finale. And of course, I would love to know what you guys thought about this episode. So please comment below. Let me know what you thought about it. Your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. Definitely want to know where you guys think things are headed with this Comet ship. Like, what's going to happen there. Because I was really surprised when they're like, oh, the Comet has been turned into this ship. I don't know if there's any extra to that, or what the case may be, because they stole a giant chunk of that Comet, and I was surprised to see like that whole thing, which like even Voltron carrying it was like this, like with Voltron's arms all the way out carrying this big chunk, and I was like, all of the Comet was just put into this ship, which I was like, that's interesting because it's obviously more powerful, it's very fast and stuff like that, but I was like, was it infused into literally the whole thing, or what was the case? So curious if they might have a couple of slivers left around for some smaller weapons, or additions to put onto the ship that they just haven't done yet. So I'd love to see if there's some extra stuff there, and just to see what else this ship can do, because it's clearly really powerful. That was like the whole point, is to show like, oh, this thing's pretty tough against Voltron. It can't really like fight back like it's the size of Voltron. It was just a ship that was moving around, but it could shoot, and it could like spin and twist and do some crazy stuff in the air, or in the vacuum of space, I guess. But ultimately, I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, we'd love to know your theories on what's going to come with this ship and what they might do to utilize it throughout the rest of the series. I don't think it'll get destroyed next season, but I wouldn't be surprised. It depends on how things play out as far as, people staying as villains and, that sort of thing, and who has the ship at, what specific time. But we'd love to know your theories on what they're going to end up doing with this ship, and of course, what they're going to do in the finale. Definitely want to know your theories for that if you haven't watched it. Even if you have, what theories did you have going into the last episode for this season? And of course, I want to know what you guys thought about this episode in general. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.